Imagine a bank so powerful that it doesn't ask for your credit score, doesn't care about your salary, and definitely doesn't worry about late fees. Instead, it lends money to entire countries. Not millions, not billions, whole national budgets. That bank exists. And no, it doesn't send friendly reminder emails. It's called the World Bank. Today, we're going to talk about how it works and why, when it saves a country, ordinary people somehow end up paying the price. As usual, let's start with the basics. The World Bank is an international financial organization that lends money to developing and middle-income countries. It was created in 1944, right after World War II, when half the planet looked like a construction site that had gone very, very wrong. Cities were destroyed, economies collapsed, and rebuilding was urgent. The idea sounded great. Lend money so countries can rebuild, modernize, and reduce poverty. Roads, schools, hospitals, power plants, all the things that make life better and don't usually fit into a government's spare change jar. And even today, the official mission still sounds wonderful. Fight poverty, support development, improve living standards. Who could possibly be against that? Well, nobody. But also, everybody has questions. Because here's the thing. Despite its wholesome branding, the World Bank is not a charity. It's a bank. And banks have a very specific personality trait. They want their money back, often with interest. And the World Bank doesn't work alone. It operates side by side with its slightly stricter sibling, the International Monetary Fund, better known as the IMF. Together, they function as the global financial emergency room. Or if you're feeling cynical, the financial ICU with a very long consent form. Their job is to act as lenders of last resort. That means they show up only after everyone else has left the party. Here's the usual storyline. A country runs into trouble. Maybe it borrowed too much. Maybe global interest rates went up. Maybe investors suddenly decided the country feels risky. Or maybe politics got messy and scared the markets. Whatever the reason, confidence disappears. Investors stop lending. Banks back away. The budget starts to bleed. The currency weakens. Panic quietly enters the room. At this point, governments don't have many good options left. That's when the World Bank and the IMF knock on the door. They offer help. Big loans, emergency funding. Headlines say things like, international institutions step in to stabilize the economy. Sounds comforting, right? Except, and this is important, the money never comes without conditions. Ever. In exchange for being rescued, governments must agree to reforms. That word sounds harmless, refreshing even, like a software update. In reality, it's more like a factory reset. Typical conditions include cutting government spending, reducing pensions, freezing wages, raising taxes, and increasing prices for fuel, electricity, gas, and basic services. Subsidies disappear. State-owned companies get privatized. Assets get sold. Quickly. The logic is clean and mathematical. Spend less, earn more, repay debt. The real-world effect is messier. Because cutting a budget on paper often means closing schools, understaffing hospitals, and telling people they need to tighten their belts, usually belts that were already on the tightest notch. To see how this plays out, let's talk about Greece. In the early 2010s, Greece was hit by a massive debt crisis. Years of borrowing, combined with weak tax collection and structural problems, pushed the country to the edge. Investors panicked, Greek bonds collapsed, default looked inevitable. Cue dramatic entrance. The IMF, the European Central Bank, and international lenders. Greece received bailout loans worth hundreds of billions. But the deal came with severe austerity measures. Spending cuts, tax hikes, pension reductions, privatization, the full package. The economic impact was devastating. Between 2008 and 2016, Greece lost around 25% of its GDP. That's not a slowdown, that's an economic freefall. Youth unemployment climbed to nearly 60%. Salaries and pensions were cut by about a third. Businesses closed. Protests filled the streets. People were angry and tired and confused. But the choice was simple, if brutal. Accept the conditions or face complete financial collapse. Greece wasn't unique. Versions of this story have played out in Latin America, Africa, Asia, and Eastern Europe for decades. Different flags. Same spreadsheets. Same logic. Same outcome. Stability on paper, pain on the ground. And this is why calling the World Bank and the IMF saviors is complicated. They do prevent total collapse. They keep systems running. They stop countries from instantly defaulting. That part is real. But they are not charities. They are lenders of last resort. And when they step in, the cost is usually passed down, not up. Governments survive. Financial systems stabilize. Debts get restructured. Ordinary people get higher prices, fewer services, lower incomes, and a crash course in economic reality. Supporters argue this pain is necessary. That discipline today leads to stability tomorrow. Critics argue that tomorrow keeps getting postponed, while the bill arrives immediately. And that's the uncomfortable truth. When countries are saved, the rescue rarely feels heroic to the people living through it. The system survives. The numbers improve. But the everyday cost shows up in grocery bills, rent, fuel prices, and job prospects. So when you hear that a country has been rescued, stabilized, or bailed out, it's worth asking one simple question. Saved for whom? Because history suggests that in times of crisis, the final invoice almost always lands on the same desk, the one labeled ordinary citizens. So don't expect miracles. Understand the system. Read between the headlines. Plan ahead. And above all, invest wisely.